Hey guys, welcome to reading. Alright, so our reading lesson today is going to be going back over our poems. Because if you remember, poems were the genre that we were working on this week. That was the kind of stories. And all of our stories that we've been working on are poems. Just to review poems, remember we learned that poems have rhyming words. That was one of the very big things about poems. They have rhyming words. They're usually written in lines, like one sentence at a time. That would be a line. And usually the rhyming words at the end of each line, they would kind of rhyme. Poems are usually, like Shay said in our meeting the other day, poems are usually wrote to show how you feel about something. They're a way to kind of express your feelings. And they usually have rhythm to them. Rhythm is kind of like the beat. It's almost like a song. Like in the trick or treat poem we looked at, trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. That was kind of the rhythm that it was made in, or that it was written in. And some poems have fast rhythms, some poems have slow rhythms. I remember in high school, we had a teacher that read us a poem called The Bells. And it was a very slow poem. It went, the bells, bells, bells. So it had a very slow rhythm to it. So some poems could be fast, some are slow. The last thing about poems are that they try to use interesting words that would make it better to read. They try to use those big, fancy, nice words. Instead of saying something is pretty, they may call it glamorous or beautiful. Just trying to use those better words to make the poem more interesting. So, okay, we are going to look at some of the stories that are in our book this week. And then I'm going to read you a few other ones that I have. And we're going to be looking at trying to understand the poems. Can we figure out what the poem was about? We might even be using some inferences to figure stuff out about the poem. Remember, we talked about inferences a while ago. An inference is when you use clues to figure something out. Like maybe the story or the poem doesn't tell you, but you can figure it out without needing any help. So we're going to go ahead and read some of these poems from our book, and we'll talk about different poems and we'll talk about our inferences. Okay, the first one I'm going to start with is The Desert Camels and Bat is Not a Bird from your Little Reader's Notebook, or your Reader and Writer Companion. If you don't have this book, you can always just listen to me. Alright, Desert Camels. Camels have a hump on their... I'm going to start again. I think I messed up. Camels have a hump on their backs to carry people and their sacks. They're very strong, don't mind the sun, won't stop for drinks until they're done. They give people a bouncy ride. They sway and move from side to side. I'd like a camel for a pet, but haven't asked my mother yet. Did you kind of notice the rhythm to it? It was kind of like a song, wasn't it? Did you notice any rhyming words? I'll read you the 5th and 6th line of the poem. It goes, they give people a bouncy ride. They sway and move from side to side. What were the rhyming words? Yeah, ride and side. Very good. They're usually at the end of the line and they rhyme. I did it again. So how do you think this person feels about camels? The author was Martine Wren. She wrote this poem about camels. How do you think she feels about them? Would she want one? Yeah, it says, I'd like to have a camel for a pet. If she likes it for a pet, wouldn't she like to keep one? And she likes them? Yeah, that was using our inferences to figure something out. So what was her poem all about? What was Desert Camels all about? Good, it was about camels. What about A Bat is Not a Bird? What was it about? Well, let's read it and see. A bat has neither feathers nor beak. He does not chirp, just gives a shriek. He flies by hearing sounds like pings, flapping, flapping his leathery wings. At night, when I'm asleep in my bed, he gets to fly around instead. What was A Bat is Not a Bird about? Yeah, it was about bats and some facts about them. Did you hear any rhyming words? I'm going to read you the 1st and 2nd line. A bat has neither feathers nor beak. He does not chirp, just gives a shriek. What's the rhyming words? Yeah, beak and shriek. Good job. How do you think he feels? The author was Trevor Reynolds. How do you think Trevor feels about having to be in bed while the bat gets to go run around and fly wherever it wants? Yeah, I think he's a little bit jealous, huh? I think he'd much rather be outside instead of having to go to bed. So yeah, we can kind of tell that that's our inferences, trying to figure it out from what the poem says. Very good. You all are pretty good at understanding these poems. All right, I'm also going to read you The Little Turtle. That's in your big reading book. And we'll talk a little bit about the little turtle. There was a little turtle. He lived in a box. He swam in a puddle. He climbed on the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito. He snapped at a flea. He snapped at a minnow. And he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito. He caught the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. What was this poem about? The Little Turtle. Yeah, it's about this little turtle that he saw and about all the little things that it tried to eat or snap at. Good. I'm going to read you the middle lines of the poem. It starts with, he snapped at a mosquito, he snapped at a flea, he snapped at a minnow, and he snapped at me. Did you hear any rhyming words? Yeah, flea and me. There's two more. Mosquito and minnow. Very good. The rhyming words were at the end of the line. Very good. All right, so I like that poem too. That was a pretty good poem. All right, so we've done a pretty good job of figuring out, I'm going to put that back there, of figuring out poems. Sorry, I'm going to grab all these other books because they've got my poems all marked in here all crazy, but we're going to talk about some poems that weren't in your reading book. And some of these are written by that Shel Silverstein that I read some of the poems on Monday by him. He was that famous poet. And then I've got a few books that are written by Jack Prelutsky. He also is another famous poem that likes to write poems for kids. Both of these men like to write poems because they like to make kids laugh and smile. And I bet you're going to realize that a lot of these poems are kind of funny. So I'm going to start with We Heard Wally Wail. Alright, so while I'm reading We Heard Wally Wail, listen for rhyming words, and we're going to see if we can figure out why we heard Wally wail. Okay? We heard Wally wail through the whole neighborhood as his mother wailed Wally as hard as she could. She made Wally holler, she made Wally whoop for what he had spelled in the alphabet soup. Do you know what wail means when we heard Wally wail? Yeah, it's another word that means cry. They used one of those good words to kind of make it more interesting. Instead of saying we heard Wally cry, we heard Wally wail is kind of a fancy, better word. So why was Wally wailing? Well, it says his mother wailed Wally as hard as she could. What do you think wailed Wally meant? Yeah, she was spanking Wally, because what did Wally do? It says she made Wally whoop for what he had spelled in the alphabet soup. What do you think Wally spelled in the alphabet soup? Something not nice, probably a bad word. So yeah, she was giving him a whooping because he had done something not good. He'd spelled something bad in the alphabet soup. So there's a picture of, sorry, go this way. Try to get it the wrong way. There's a picture of his mom in the alphabet soup. Yeah. He must have done something not too good in the alphabet soup, so she made Wally wail. Good. Did you hear any rhyming words? What about the last part of the poem? She made Wally holler, she made Wally whoop for what he had spelled in the alphabet soup. Yeah, whoop and soup. Good job. And we used our inferences to kind of figure out why Wally was wailing. We had to think about, well, if his mom was whooping him for something he'd spelled in the alphabet soup, she wouldn't have whooped him if it was something good. Yeah, he probably spelled a bad word or something. So yeah, we used our inferences. Good job. All right, I've got one more little one. It's called The Lost Cat. We can't find the cat. We don't know where she's at. Oh, where did she go? Does anyone know? Let's ask this walking hat. Walking hat? I bet you guys can use your inferences. Where's the cat? If you're not sure, listen one more time. See if you can figure out where the cat's at. We can't find the cat. We don't know where she's at. Oh, where did she go? Does anyone know? Let's ask this walking hat. Yeah, the picture kind of tells us too. Where is the... See the cat? It's under the hat, isn't it? Yeah, that's not a walking hat. It's the cat. So we kind of used our inferences to figure that out. Because we know hats don't really walk. The cat must have been under it. Did you hear any rhyming words? We can't find the cat. We don't know where she's at. Yeah, cat and at. Trying to think. I think we've probably done all we can with this one. Alright, there's only one more that I want to read you. Just move the mouse a little bit so it doesn't go to sleep on me. Alright, this next one, whoops. There we go. Alright, there's only one more that I want to read you, and it's called Sick. And this used to be one of my favorite poems when I was little. I used to check this book out at the library at my school, and I would read all the poems. And this was my favorite one. Alright, so let's listen to Sick. And we're going to look for rhyming words. We're going to see if we can figure out what it's about and use our inferences. So, I cannot go to school today, said little Peggy Ann McKay. I have the measles and the mumps, a gash, a rash, and purple mumps. My mouth is wet, my throat is dry. I'm going blind in my right eye. My tonsils are big as rocks. I've counted 16 chicken pox. And there's one more, that's 17. And don't you think my face looks green? My leg is cut, my eyes are blue. It might be instamatic flu. I cough and I sneeze and I gasp and choke. I'm sure that my left leg is broke. My hip hurts when I move my chin. My belly button's caving in. My back is wrenched, my ankle's sprained. My appendix pains each time it rains. My nose is cold, my toes are numb. My neck is stiff, my spine is weak. I hardly whisper when I speak. My tongue is filling up my mouth. I think my hair is falling out. My elbow's bent, my spine ain't straight. My temperature is 108. My brain is shrunk, I cannot hear. There's a hole inside my ear. I have a hangnail and my heart is... What? What's that? What's that you say? You say today is Saturday? Goodbye, I'm going out to play. I bet you can use some inferences. Little Peggy Ann McKay, look, this is a really long poem. She tells you all kinds of stuff that's wrong with her. You know, she's got a sliver in her thumb, her neck is stiff, her spine is weak, my leg is cut, my eyes are blue. But then at the end of the poem, she's like, what? What's that you say? You say it today is Saturday? Goodbye, I'm going out to play. Is Peggy Ann McKay really sick? No. We used our inferences. What was Peggy Ann McKay doing? She was telling fibs, trying to get out of going where? Good. She didn't want to go to school, so she was telling her mom that she had all these things wrong with her. And when she found out it was Saturday and she didn't have to go to school anyway, she tried to go leave, yeah. So we used our inferences to figure out that Peggy Ann McKay was not really sick. She was telling a fib trying to get out of school. Very good. So you figured out what sick is really about. We're just going to look for a couple of rhyming words and then our lesson will be done. But I'm just going to read a couple of lines. My leg is cut. My eyes are blue. It might be instamatic flu. Blue and flu, right? My nose is cold. My toes are numb. I have a sliver in my thumb. Numb and thumb. Good job. All right. I think you guys are pretty good at poems and you've learned a lot about them. We have a little practice poems. Sorry, guys. Okay. we have some little practice poems that you guys are going to read and answer a few questions about, okay? Just because I think you all are so good at poems, you're going to show me how good you are at them, okay? All right, I'll be around if you need any help, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to these poems with me this week. Bye, guys.